We're really privileged to have Laura Wilcox here with us. I did a little research, Laura.
You Googled me?
I Googled you.
I've heard about this Googling, people. It makes me nervous.
Without your permission, I thought I'd put my fears aside and went for
All right.
and looked it up. So, I mean, what a background you have as a social worker and special ed here in Pasadena School District.
Oh, that's on there? See, I need to Google myself.
You scrutinized it. And now your title, I mean, what is, you are a personal trainer to the mind.
Yes. Yes.
And that is pretty cool, because I think one of the things that we see in one of the tools you use is hypnosis, and I'm kind of into that. We use bits and pieces of it, and it helps us in our practice, but you probably use it to help get us out of our own way to achieve some goals.
Yes.
And I will leave it at that.
Okay.
I'm not going to do the lecture for you. That would really screw that up. So we're really honored to have Laura here. So Laura, take it away.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. So, yes, my name is Laura Wilcox, and I use hypnotherapy and neuro-linguistic programming to help people make better decisions so that they can work through their habits and addictions and live a better life and work and achieve their goals. I help people to become the best versions of themselves. As was said, I was a social worker and a teacher, and now I'm in the lovely field of helping people to live a better life. So, today I'm going to talk to you about how to work through certain addictions, dependencies, and habits from food, drugs, smoking, whatever it is for you that is holding you back from being a better person. Whatever you're using to manage your stress. Now, I use stress in the advertisement, in the promotion for this class, but stress can be a very broad term. Maybe you use one of these things like food when you're really angry. Maybe you use it because you're bored. There are many different emotions and reasons why you're using this particular need. There's a trigger that is causing you to do this. So today we're going to talk about how to work through this trigger. I'm going to tell you the 2 reasons that are keeping you from being the best version of yourself. First, that you make poor decisions, and second of all, teaching you how to work through these habits, because you don't know how to work through the habit. I'm going to help you to work on that little negative voice that is holding you back, that is probably leading you down that wrong path, and teach you a couple fun mental exercises. So to begin, the other day I was listening to a radio show talk show radio host, and this man does an exercise for teenagers to help them to abstain from sex, to, wait till they're married. And this exercise, I'm going to ask you several questions and you have 2 answers. Only can give 2 answers. You will either die if this surely happens, or nothing will happen if this thing happens. So, if I told you you could never, ever, ever, ever breathe again, what would happen? You die. Yes. If I told you you could never, ever, ever eat again, you would die. And a little more graphic, if I told you you could never, ever, ever go to the bathroom again, die. And if I told you you could never eat large amounts of sugar again, if you could never smoke again, if you could never smoke a bong again, if you could never do certain kinds of drugs, if you could never gamble again, if you could never shop in large amounts excessively and create debt in your life, what would happen? You feel like you would. You feel like you would, but you wouldn't. And that's what you need to ask yourself when you're about to partake in this certain habit or dependency. Am I going to die right now if I don't do this? No. And be really aware of that nothing bad is going to happen if I don't participate in it. If anything, my life is going to be better. It's going to be difficult, but life is going to get better. So reason number 1, why you're having a hard time creating a better life, being a better version of yourself, and holding on to that dependency is because you're not making good decisions. So what's the difference between a decision versus a choice? You have the choice to go out for a run, and when you come back, you're going to drink some water and eat a salad. or you have the choice to stay home, watch TV, and eat a bag of chips. The decision is the one you pick. And the decision, in a lot of cases, you cannot always change. And when you make that decision, you're not always thinking about what you're doing. So, how are you making that decision? Why are you making that decision? Why is that decision being made? What is it doing for you? A friend of mine by the name of Steve, when he was about age 13 or so, he decided that he was not going to become an alcoholic like his father. He made the conscious decision that he wanted to take care of his health. He wasn't interested in that. He saw how his parents had their problems. He made that conscious decision. And he has never had a drop of alcohol in his life. Author Zig Ziglar, well-known speaker, in his book, Zig Ziglar Autobiography, he talked about when he just got out of the war, World War II, just got out of the military, went back to college, and he was going around to the dorms selling food, sandwiches, and desserts to the different kids who lived in the dorms. And some of the kids said, hey, when you're done with that, why don't you come back and toss some dice with us? Oh, okay, sure. So he went back, and he gambled all the money he had. A lot of money at the time, $39. Gambled every penny he had. And at that moment, he made the conscious decision. I realize I have an addictive personality. I realize I can really get myself into a lot of trouble here. He made the conscious decision, I can't do this. I am never going to do this again. However, another habit that took him a little longer to get over was that he would buy a new car, and then his neighbor would buy a new car. And then he would buy a new car because he had to keep up with the Joneses. And then someone at work would buy a new car. So he bought new cars, one after another. They didn't have a lot of money when he was younger. That came later in his life. And eventually he realized, I cannot do this anymore. This is putting us in debt. So a lot of times in his life, he realized, I cannot do this anymore. I have to change. He made the conscious decision. He realized he was doing it and then made the decision to not do it anymore. Not that that's easy. We can say, oh, I'm not going to do it, but then next day is a whole new day. So there's something called unconscious incompetence. And there are 4 steps to this that leads you to unconscious competence. Unconscious incompetence is when you're just sitting in front of the TV and you have your box of chocolates and you're just sitting there and shoving them in your face and you're really pissed off at whoever made you mad and you're just shoving and you just look at the box and you go, oh my gosh, where'd all the chocolate go? And I don't even remember what it tasted like. Then you hit the point where you say conscious incompetence and you look at the box and you say, I don't really care. I don't care that that person has upset me. I'm going to eat these chocolates anyway. I don't care that I know I could get diabetes. I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. So unconscious, conscious unhealthiness, I also call it. So then you want to get to conscious healthiness or conscious competence. I see the box of chocolate. I either need to give it to someone, throw it down the disposal, do something with it. I need to get rid of it. I realize now I have diabetes. I need to prick my fingers all the time. I'm tired of this life. I realize that I have to take the step towards making a change. It's hard, but I want to live a better life. I want to live long enough for my children. And then the last step is unconscious competence or healthiness, where you don't even realize anymore the healthy steps you're taking. So when you get angry, you find yourself going to the gym automatically to take that boxing class. It's just something you automatically do. You're actually noticing that your anger is getting more under control without you even realizing it, that the breathing exercises are becoming more automatic for you. So that's what you want to think about when you're going through the process of thinking about what is this habit and how am I going to work through it. So that is when it comes to making decisions. But here's the thing, when you're making a decision, you don't really realize you're making a decision. You don't sit there and say, let's see, I'm about to take this cocaine, and this and this could happen to me, but I don't care. Now, there is that person who says that, but really, when a person makes a decision, they're not thinking about it as a decision. And I'm in the process of writing a book, and in one of my chapters, I have a former drug addict who wrote about her experience with cocaine and alcohol. And in the beginning, I asked her, what was the decision that you made to take this path to drink alcohol and do drugs? Now, I thought her answer to me would be, what do you mean decision? I just did it. But she gave me a whole explanation of what was going on in her life that led her down this path. Because though we don't realize it's a decision, it is. It's not till after the fact that we go, oh crap, I'm about to die from whatever, because I did this 20 years ago. So decisions aren't always thought out, most of the time. We do not think about them. So the second reason why we make poor decisions, the second reason why we're not becoming the best version of ourselves is because we don't know how to create healthy habits. So James smoked for a period of time, and he could stop smoking just like that, no problem. But then some big stress came in his life. He lost his job, and he started smoking. And then he smoked for a while, and then he immediately stopped. No big deal, stopped for a while. And then his dad died, started smoking again. So James had no problem stopping the behavior, but it was what was triggering him, what was leading him to create this habit in his life. So think about this. What is the habit? Why are you here today? Why did you want to listen to me speak? What is the habit, the dependency, the addiction that you have? And what is the trigger? What emotion is it? Is it anger? Is it stress? Is it all of the above? Is it everything in your life that causes you to go down this path? Some people can stop a habit within 21 days. Studies have been done that people can stop a habit within 21 days. Not everyone can. It depends on how long they've been doing the habit. Although I have worked with clients who stopped smoking 20 cigarettes a day in one session, and they went down to 0 cigarettes. Other people took more sessions than that. Some people went from 20 cigarettes a day for 50 years to 1 cigarette a day. Just depends also on how determined you are. So the first question on your worksheet is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how determined are you to make a change in your life? How important is this? So you can circle that. Maybe you have to think about it. This is for you to take home. This is homework for you. If you're really determined to make this new year a better year and make better decisions in this year, this is your homework, to answer these questions. And throughout this class, I'm going to give you chances, a few minutes to be able to answer these questions. But today, I really want you to think about why, what's important to you, and how are you going to make a change in your life. Now, the second set of questions below that, and you can answer, I'll give you a couple minutes to answer these questions. What is driving you to stop this habit? What is motivating you to live this healthier life? What is important to you about being healthier, about being a non-smoker, about being sober? What's important to you? So I want to give you a minute or two just to think of some answers and write those down. And then when you go home, sit down and really think about these questions. Reframe them as many times as you want. And you will come up with 20 to 30, maybe more answers of what's important to you as to why you want to get rid of this habit. These are called values. And when you have these values, you realize what is important to you. And I'll tell you, the number one thing that most of my clients tell me is it's family. When you think about your family, is that the reason why you want to lose this weight? Is that the reason why you want to be free of the drugs or whatever it is? A woman wants to earn $100,000 a year. That's a nice goal. But why? Because she wants to move out of the horrible neighborhood she lives in. She wants to get her children into a better school. She doesn't want to live around a neighborhood where there are bullets flying every day, where there are drugs being sold right around the corner. She wants to live a better life for her children. What is important to you? What is your priority? So you can keep writing as I'm talking. Habits come from your past. An internal voice. I call it the devil. You can call it whatever you want. Many of my clients refer to it as an angel on one shoulder and devil on the other, sitting there and pulling you different directions. Is this voice the one that's leading you down that path that's getting you into trouble? So in a moment, I'm going to do a mental exercise with all of you. But I want you to think about, was this your parent? Was this someone from school? For me, there was a cheerleader. I was at cheerleader tryouts, and the cheerleader walked up to me and said, "You're trying out for cheerleading?" No, I'm standing here for my health. I would have given a smart comment, but, at the time, it was just like, I cowered, But now, today, whenever I'm about to do something, what do I hear? "You're about to do that?" I've had to work through it. I've had to figure out, where did that come from? Did I decide on that voice? No, I didn't. That came from someone else. As much as we shouldn't always blame other people for our problems, in this particular exercise, you're going to remove this voice. If this voice comes from someone else, when a parent, out of love and saving money, they would say, "There are starving people in China or Africa or wherever, and so you need to eat every bite of food on your plate. There's a huge mound of spaghetti. You have to eat every bite." And now, because of that, many, many years later, perhaps you're overweight because you have this voice in your head. Maybe your parents, the person who told you that, is no longer even around. But it says, "I got to eat everything on my plate. Because if I don't, something is going to happen to those starving people." No, nothing is going to happen. I mean, you can help them, but you eating everything is not going to help them. It's learning how to eat less and put less on your plate, and learning different tricks so that you can eat healthier and eat less. I was going off to college, and my mother said to me, "We have certain body types in this family that you need to be really careful of what you eat, and you should really watch yourself and make sure that you don't get fat." So what happens? I have this voice in my head. So I decide to try laxatives so that I can lose weight. I only did it for a week. I realized it wasn't too much fun. It wasn't all that great. But the voice, I know my mother meant well, but it was a voice that went in my head. Rather than, she has a point. What could I eat that's healthy and how could I take care of my health? Nope. Didn't even go down a good path. I went down a negative path. But I stopped that real quick. I made the conscious decision that I didn't want to go down that wrong path. But how has that voice affected you? So I want you to think about this person. I'm going to have you close your eyes. And I want you to think about who this person was who said this, what the statement was, the surroundings around you, the sounds around you. Go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to see this person saying this statement to you, this statement that has affected you through your life, perhaps caused you to partake in this particular dependency or habit. Maybe it's affected your confidence, whatever it is. And I want you to see them and I want you to hear them say this statement. And the picture is in color, if you can make it in color. And it's a movie. Hear this statement. And once you've heard the statement, I want you now to speed up their voice to the point where the voice is now garbled. You can no longer understand what they're saying. And now you're going to silence this person. They're speaking, their mouth is moving, but nothing is coming out. This person is speaking to you, but nothing is coming out. Can't hear them. And then when you're ready, I want you to take away all the color from the picture. You're making a black and white movie in your mind. And now I want you to freeze this picture. And you see a black and white photograph. And I want you to place that black and white photograph in a frame. So this is no longer life size. This is now a small picture. Bring it down to size, put it in a frame, and I want you to place this frame up on a wall. Place the frame on a wall. And now I want you to start to walk away. Walk away, back up, walk away from this picture, backing away. You no longer see this person. You no longer hear this voice. Walking away. And as you walk away, I want you to notice a change within your body. You're in this picture right now. You're actually there. And all you can see is the front of you. And what's changing is your shoulders are rolling back a little bit. Your head is held a little higher. There's perhaps a smile on your face. As you're walking further and further away, this picture is getting smaller, smaller, and smaller. And when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes and notice how much more free you feel. Now, this is a good exercise to practice on a regular basis. It's a good mental exercise. Tomorrow, if same person or a different person comes into your life and says a certain statement, great exercise to practice. And realize, I've nourished that voice, I've given it energy, but why? That came from somebody else's belief system, and I chose to believe it. And you don't have to believe it if you don't want to. That's up to you. So like I said earlier about decisions, that we make decisions on the spot. We make them because there's a reward. We're getting something out of it. And we don't think about what might happen. Well, habits are sometimes comfortable. They're safe. I like it. A person with anger management probably likes screaming and yelling, and it just feels good to stomp their feet, and they really don't feel like going to a stinking yoga class and doing some silly breathing and going, because it just doesn't work for them, and they just feel better when they scream and yell and perhaps hit somebody, and it's a comfort. They're getting something out of it. What are you getting out of this habit? Do you really want to let this go? As I asked you earlier, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being really strong, how badly do I want to let go of this? And what is triggering this, and how am I going to stop that trigger? So, how do we develop good, healthy habits? 6 steps. Number 1, get rid of those leeches. Not them, Get rid of those people in your life who are just sucking the energy out of you in every way. Get rid of these people who are not doing anything for you, and they're not your support group. They're actually encouraging you to partake in this particular habit. I had this person in my life who she would call me almost on a daily basis with one problem or another, and I'd sit on the phone for hours with her, and okay, So then I'd call her and say, I have this problem. And you know what her answer was? Get over it. Let me tell you, there was a point where I just finally said, enough is enough. I am not going to have this person in my life. That just, I'm not, friendships, healthy relationships are about support. I had a business opportunity to work with a personal trainer, and I was telling a friend about it. And I said, but what's weird is that every time I'm around this person, he gives me a stomach ache. I get a stomach ache when I'm around this person. And my friend goes, and that business relationship. Do not hang around someone where you get a stomach ache. And I didn't connect the two until she said something. And I thought, oh, she's got a point. This isn't healthy. So when you have a certain feeling, when this person is just sitting with you wrong, yes, they're family. Okay? You can't get rid of your family, but you can spend less time with them. You can choose how much time you're spending with that person. So get rid of the leeches is step number 1 on how you change your habits. Number 2, start a support group or join a support group. You need to find those people who will support you, who will be there for you. So I went to a local high school here, and I was on the cross-country team, and we were at our rival high school's course, and I didn't know the path. It was over at Lacey Park, and I didn't know the path, so I decided to follow along with some of the girls from the other team. And there ended up being about 4 of us and through this 3-mile race, the whole entire time. Good job, keep going. You know, there's great support. The entire time. It was one of the best races I ever ran. The support was so amazing. But as soon as the 4 of us saw that finish line, was there any support? No. Because a goal, you're the one who's going to achieve that goal. No one can do it for you. You are the only one who can remain sober. You are the only one who can remain healthy and free of those habits like eating too much sugar or overeating. You can have people who support you, who hopefully don't bring over cakes and cookies all the time and shove them in front of your face. You know, find that right support group. But in the end, you're the one who's going to actually achieve that goal. But having the support group will help you get there. Absolutely. So, number 1, get rid of the leeches. Number 2, in order to achieve a good healthy habits, you want to join a support group. And number 3, on your questionnaire there are a few questions. What can I do and what don't I want to do? Now, I changed some of the questions, so I don't remember what I said there, but I rewrote them. But I want, when you go home, again, this is your homework sheet. I want you to fill this out. If you're really determined this year to make better decisions this year, use this worksheet to get started. And then go find someone, if it's not me, someone else, to help you achieve your goal in breaking this habit. But you have to think about, what do I want to do? What actions can I take on my own? What can I do for myself? What books do I need to read? Who do I need to go visit? God bless you. Who do I need help from? What kind of support groups do I need to join? What do I need to travel to? And what, last question, what am I not willing to do whatsoever? And that will help you decide, do I really want to get rid of this addiction? Do I really want to let go of this dependency? How important, the first question, on a scale of 1 to 10 is this? Number 4, know when you're in control of your mind. That's the 4th step to creating healthy habits. Know that you're in control of your mind. And I forgot my prop, but I'll tell you what the prop said. It's a box of chocolates. I got it at a local bookstore many years ago, and it said, emergency chocolates. And this is what it said. For immediate relief of chocolate cravings, love sickness, exam pressure, mild anxiety, and extreme hunger. Directions for use. Tear open wrapper, break off desired dosage, and consume. Repeat dosage as required until finished. If symptoms persist, consult your local confectioner. You laugh, but you know it's true. That's what's really sad, is that it's true. Because how many of us use food or other things as a way to control that broken heart? Because chocolate just sews that broken heart up, right up, right? No. But it feels good. There was many years ago, I don't know if anyone ever saw this. I feel like I'm the only one who ever saw this Hershey's commercial. And there was this woman who was eating a chocolate bar, and she said, I eat chocolate when I had a fight with my mother and when I had a fight with my boyfriend. Chocolate is there for me always. No. You're in control of your mind. So I want to read this to you. Your refrigerator is talking to you. The ice cream in your freezer is calling your name. The cupcake on the counter at the office is calling your name. The cookies on the shelf at the market is calling your name. The broccoli in the crisper is not calling your name. You have a craving, you have a desire, but you satisfy that desire. But once you satisfy that desire, you will be very dissatisfied that you ate all of that junk food. You will feel guilty and disgusted. So how do you stop these sweets, this food, this habit, this addiction, whatever it might be, from controlling you? Well, with food, first of all, you need to be in control. Part of taking control of your mind is also taking the physical actions. Clean out your refrigerator and your cupboards and decide, I am not going to have these foods in my house. And make that rule. Part of what I want you to do in 2015, if you really are determined to get rid of this certain addiction, is set rules for yourself. When I talked earlier about values, what's important to you, part of it is rules. I'm not going to buy any kind of sweets at all. So they're not in my house. Don't watch TV, because that's also where a lot of cravings, commercials, candy, and whatever else. And don't go to the market when you're hungry. Those are some tips for those of you if you're here about weight management. Those are some great tips to get you started. But you're in control of your mind. So that's number 4. The 5th step to having good, healthy habits is start small. So let's take smoking, for example. And I'm giving you examples that I have used with clients. They've worked with some people. They have not worked with other people. Start small. So let's say I've noticed on average that when it comes to smoking, people will smoke, let's say, 20 cigarettes a day. I know that seems like a lot, but I've met some people that, that's what they smoke. That's 2 packs a day. And so let's say you're a smoker. Start with 20 cigarettes a day. And then tomorrow, how about going down to 19 cigarettes a day? And the next day, how about going to 18 cigarettes a day? Maybe for you, you have to start even slower and do once a week. 20 cigarettes this week and 19 cigarettes next week. There are some people who can do cold turkey. Like I mentioned, this man, James. He never had a problem quitting. He could quit anything like that. That's not necessarily easy for everyone, so you have to figure out what little small steps do I have to take. Back to the food idea, cleaning out the cupboards. What small steps do I have to take? Craving comes up for whatever it is, and you say to yourself, in 10 minutes, I will go get that hit of Coke. I don't know if, per se, drugs are as easy, and everyone has their own experience with that. But I'm going to go get that thing that I have a craving for in 10 minutes. And then you distract yourself. This has worked with some people. Again, not with everyone. And then maybe in 20, and then as you start doing that more regularly, say, in 20 minutes, I will go do that. And once you busy yourself, that craving goes away. For some, again, depending on where the craving stands, addicts, I understand. It's a struggle. Back to the story I told you earlier, this friend of mine, she could drink, now that she's sober, she can serve alcohol in her home, no problem. It doesn't bother her. But every day is a conscious decision to not do cocaine. The alcohol is not a bother to her, but cocaine is a daily struggle. And for you, it could be food. It could be those cigarettes. All of our addictions are different. All of our desires are different. So again, what's important to you to stop, and what's the trigger that's creating it, and how, going back to that comment about the trigger, what triggers can you do your best to remove? If it's a person, remember I was talking earlier about a person in your life. If you can remove those relationships from your life, is that part of the trigger? And number 6, so we're going to do a mental exercise. How are we on time? Okay. I want you to mirror someone who is living this healthier life that you want to live. So if it's for weight management, for instance, go to lunch with a healthy thin person, not a thin person who just can eat anything they want, But a real healthy thin person who drinks water at the meal, who orders salad, who maybe they do order a burger, but they split it in half. They don't eat the whole thing. Go to lunch with that person. Hang out with someone who stopped smoking 10 years ago and notice how they live their life now that they're a non-smoker. Hang out with people who once did drugs or drank and are now sober. Hang out with these people and see how they live their life. Mirror this person. So I'm going to have you close your eyes. And I want you to picture someone. You may not know them personally, or you may know them personally. And I just want you to imagine yourself standing right behind this person. And just notice, follow them through their day as they take those healthy actions that you want to follow. Now, I know you don't know how this person thinks perfectly. You don't know what they think. You don't know everything about them. But just imagine what it's like to be a little more disciplined. What it's like to be a little more relaxed or calm. It has to do with anger management. Just notice what they go through and the new decisions they're making on a daily basis now that they're living this healthier life than they were some time ago. And when you're ready, I want you to step into their body and imagine you're walking in their same shoes. And imagine yourself. And just notice what it feels like to be a little more disciplined, a little more focused on being healthier than living that unhealthy life. And just keep picturing this healthy life, walking in their shoes. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And this is, again, another exercise to practice regularly, to reinforce that what you want to be like, how you want to live this healthier life. What does that look like? Like I said, hang out with people who are living that healthier life. And who knows what you'll learn. And you could hear their stories of the struggles they had, but this is how they got through those struggles. And maybe that's the same struggle you're having. On that worksheet, there are some last questions that I ask you. And these questions are about this craving that you're having, this desire that you're having, and what's leading this craving? Again, talking about are these cravings being motivated by certain emotions? And do you care? Because once you ask yourself this last set of questions, again, what I said earlier, this is going to start to reinforce. First of all, it's making it conscious to you. You're becoming conscious of this, becoming more aware of this is what's going on with this desire and craving within me. And it's helping you to realize, okay, I want to work through this. How am I going to do that? And now that I'm making it more conscious, I'm making it more aware to myself, then I can start not doing it as much and hopefully get to a point where you're not doing it at all. So I'm going to end with one last exercise. It's a little similar to the one we just did, but this is called anchoring. And does anyone pat their elbow? If you don't pat your elbow too often, that might be a good one. You want to touch a part of your body that you never ever use. This is an anchor. Like an anchor holds that ship into place, right? And so this anchor is going to hold this certain healthy emotion into place. So whether it is to be more confident because you partake in those drugs, because that's what makes you feel more confident, but you need to feel more confident without the drugs, without the smoking, without the alcohol. I want you to think of a time, if that's your issue, confidence, then I want you to think of 1 to 2 times when you were confident all on your own without that dependency. So I want you to think of whatever it is, a time, how do you want to live this life better, free of this habit? And I want you to first start with one time, close your eyes, and I go ahead and if it's to tug your left ear or pat your head or rub your elbow, I want you to think of this event, and as soon as you think of this event, you're going to touch that part of your body, whether it's your knee or something. And you're only going to hold it. You're only going to hold this item for about 15 seconds, and you want it to be strong. What did you see? What did you feel? What did you hear? And hold it. And then as soon as that picture begins to fade, you let that anchor go. So I saw some of you did it. Some of you were listening to the directions, so that's okay. So once again, let's close our eyes. And I want you to think of a time when you were really confident without that dependency, or free of the dependency, whatever you're looking for. You were free of the dependency and life was really good. And I want you to touch that body part. And what did you see? What did you hear? You're in the picture. You're present. You're there. What did you feel? Maybe there were tastes and smells. Bring all of your senses in and only hold this for about 15 seconds. And then when you're ready, when the picture starts to fade and the feeling starts to fade, immediately let it go. You don't want to hold it for any longer than 15 seconds. Let's just do it one last time. Your eyes closed. Bring up that picture and touch that body part. What did you see? What did you feel, hear, touch, smell, taste? Bring all of your feelings into it, all of your senses. And when you're done, you can open your eyes. Now, this is an exercise that should be practiced every evening before you go to bed to reinforce that. You don't want to overdo it because then the anchor wears off. But before you go to bed, if you need that reinforcement, do that before you go to bed. So these exercises that I have taught you are within neuro-linguistic programming. And neuro-linguistic programming are mental exercises that I teach people so that they can work through habits and behaviors and achieve their goals. And I use this along with the hypnotherapy. And just to give you a quick understanding of hypnotherapy, I practice it a little differently than other people, but the basic way to say it is, you give me, I consider you as I am your ghost writer, okay? You tell me all the negative junk going on in your life. We sit there for a good half an hour and you tell me about all the negative junk. And then you sit back, you close your eyes, you sit silently, and then I turn that story around. So if you have this strong craving for chocolate, but very small, minute craving for spinach and broccoli, but you're willing to choose to eat more spinach and broccoli, then I will bring that into this story to help you reprogram the way you're partaking in these habits. Because these habits, like when your parents told you there are starving people in whatever country, your parents didn't hypnotize you. They just said it over and over and over again. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just helping reinforcing the positive within your life so you can live this better life. And that's what I'm here for. Laura Wilcox, hypnotherapist and NLP practitioner. Thank you for coming. Hopefully the paper didn't.
Man, that's something, I mean, we're all sitting here. I can't even imagine what we were all imagining, closing our eyes. I know we all have probably a pretty hefty list.
Yeah, maybe you have various dependencies, yes.
So, no, I really appreciate that. I'm sure that touched all of us. Yeah, and we sure appreciate your sharing.
Well, thank you for having me.